Well, let's speak now to Nujla Shawa, Regional Country Relations Manager with Oxfam International, who is in central Gaza for us this evening. Clearly, you've been struggling with power. You've got limited access to it. What's the situation as it stands?
Yes, hi. Thanks for having me. So, yeah, I mean, as you see, I'm a resident of Gaza City. I'm from there, and I'm one of probably 500,000 who moved from Gaza City towards the south. And I happen to be one of them, along with other families. So I'm here, not in my house. We left our homes. We are 50 people sitting in a small cottage in the middle area of the Gaza Strip, as it is called, which is right below the line that was drawn for us by the Israeli forces to move to. And of course, I mean, we are lucky because we have solar energy, and that's why we have some lighting. We are not this doesn't exist everywhere. Not everyone can afford that, and we have just light, and we have refrigerator and internet. So this is why we can't turn on more lights. In this place, there are 50 people. There are about 20 children. If I show you now, you will see how they are sleeping one next to the other. The situation is, I don't know. I mean, it speaks for itself. I mean, I'm talking to friends, relatives who are either stuck, they can't move, they can't leave Gaza, they can't afford, they couldn't find transport, or when they did, they ran by some attacks on the road. So Israeli attacked actually the crowds who were actually moving from Gaza towards the south, although that was the instruction. And tens were killed. And also not very far from where I am now, in Deir al-Balah, there was an airstrike at a home with displaced people, and there were multiple casualties. Again, this is a catastrophic situation. Speaking of humanitarian circumstances, I mean, what do you imagine of 500,000 moving, where Gaza has already no shelters, moving to relocate in other areas? Everyone is receiving them. Schools, public parks, every kind of space you would imagine, with minimum or none facilities. I know even some people who stayed last night, and simply because there are no toilets, no water, no nothing, they went back to Gaza and they said, well, there are no way that we can survive. So we are really caught. Civilians are really caught in a really mad situation. I mean, you say Israeli army announced a coordinated attack. So the past few days, I mean, what was that? I mean, you would hear continuous, and we would witness destruction of entire neighborhoods across the strip, killing people in their homes.
So what you're saying is, even though people have decided to move, sorry to interrupt. What you're saying is, even though people have decided to move, they still feel very unsafe.
Of course, they're being killed on the road that was specified by the Israeli army to be a safe passage. They had their, fascinating propaganda, and they just distribute these leaflets and they share it online for maps specifying a road which they exactly happened to hit just today. So how could we possibly feel safe with all these numbers of casualties, these numbers of children who were killed under the rubble of their homes and residential areas and commercial areas?
Yeah, we've seen the awful footage from that convoy that was hit. Benjamin Netanyahu saying today that the next stage is coming. What are your fears about what that means?
I mean, obviously, Israel does what it wants. nobody stops Israel from, nobody holds it accountable. Obviously, with the backup of the US and others. It's been doing that for 75 years. Guess what? So before October 7th, it was not like life was rosy. Yeah, there was suffering of Palestinians all across the occupied Palestinian territories. While in Israel, life was normal. Yeah. So that has been happening for 75 years. Now Israel decides what it wants with the full backup. And we're simply not equal since the beginning of this equation. This is a second catastrophe. This reminds us of 1948. This is actually reliving it. We live some of it because we had the memory from grandparents. When I left my home the night before last or yesterday, early morning, I was looking at my home as if I'm never going to come back, as I'm never going to see it again.
Nujla, how much support is there for Hamas in Gaza for what happened last Saturday and for the inevitable consequences of what's coming because of that?
I'm not in a position to speak about that, honestly. I just want to emphasize and remind everyone that everyone knows, I think, those who need to know already what the situation is like. It's just facing it, recognizing how unfair this entire story, the same way that Israelis are looked at. We are as human, but this was never treated the way it is. The suffering that Palestinians live on a daily basis is simply, it doesn't make news. It doesn't interest anyone. And the same way now, the world will be watching, and we are displaced. We are losing our homes. We are losing our lives, and we might lose ourselves. We might get killed as the 2,000 who were killed in the last days.
OK, well, we can hear the fear and frustration in your voice, and we wish you well in your work with Oxfam and whatever may be round the corner. Nujla Shawa, Regional Country Relations Manager with Oxfam International in Central Gaza. Thank you.
Thank you.